Here it is then, the new 911 GT3, and boy does it look aggressive. The big swan neck rear wing, those vents in the nose. More than any GT3 before, this puts function before form. Get down on your hands and knees as though you're worshipping at a flat six altar, and you can even see the myriad aerodynamic addenda under the car. Impressive, slightly intimidating. The 4-litre engine now has individual throttle bodies, but it only has 10 brake horsepower and 7 pounds-foot more than the GT3 it replaces. It's a physically bigger car, but with lightweight glass, a lightweight battery, lightweight fascia, lightweight exhaust, less sound deadening and a carbon fibre front bonnet, amongst other things, they've managed to keep the weight gain down to just 5 kilos. As a result, the 0 to 62 mph is achieved in an identical 3.4 seconds, and the top speed remains unchanged at 198 miles an hour for this PDK car. But its lap times, they're quicker. A lot quicker. 17 seconds quicker around the Nordschleife. Some of that is down to the aero, which gives 231 kilos in its standard setting and up to 385 kilos in its more aggressive setting. That latter figure is 150% more than the old car. Then there is what's going on in the arches, because for the first time in Porsche's history, this is a 911 road car with double wishbones at the front instead of McPherson struts. This 992 means business.
Sunny day, Bedford Autodrome, and a brand new GT3. Life doesn't get much better, does it? Initial impressions as soon as getting into this. Steering feels quite light actually, but incredibly responsive. This new front end, you feel it straight away. The options on this car, we've got a few big ticket items. So as standard, this costs about £128,000. This car costs about £150,000 as it is. So you've got about £2.5 grand for the shark blue paint, which does it very cool. About £2,500 for the carbon fibre roof, £6,500 for the PCCB, the carbon ceramic brakes. The Club Sport pack is a no-cost option though. We've got the full carbon bucket seats in here as well, LED headlights. So it's properly tricked out, but even so, 150 suddenly feels like pretty good value, to be honest. So there is an awful lot about this car that is, well, pretty familiar really. Particularly that engine. 503 brake horsepower at 8,400 RPM. 347 pounds-foot of torque at 6,100 RPM. And a noise that just makes you smile. It revs to 9,000 RPM, and it actually takes some effort. A really sort of concerted, you had to steel yourself really to go chasing those last sort of 500 RPM. The 7-speed PDK is obviously familiar from the 991 as well. The shifts, so smooth. It's just nothing, no interruption at all.
So smooth are the changes that you can confidently request a full-bore upshift with a car really loaded up in a long corner, and you know that it won't be unsettled.
To be honest, on track I've really only been using the paddles, but I do like the fact they've managed to get this back because it's the 7-speed PDK, so if you want to, you can use it. It's never quite the same in a right-hand drive car because you have to push the lever away from you, but it's still nice. So the big difference with this, engine, gearbox, familiar, but the big difference is that front suspension. It just seems to make the car so planted, it's got so much grip. You can feel the pliancy in it, the way it can lean into that front suspension more than ever. And at the point where you think a 911 is going to run out of grip, you just lean into it a bit more, there's more bite there. It is another level of tenacity really, and not just from the front. because we've obviously got more grip at the front, they've been able to increase the grip at the rear as well. And here, oh, the grip! The old GT3 would not have done that.
Despite the incredible speed that it generates, it's not a frantic car. You really do feel in control. It's so unflappable, so poised that you can be really calm and measured with all your inputs. You can also position the seat really low in the 992, which gives you a wonderfully hunkered down, secure feeling behind the wheel.
The brakes! I've never been the last of the late breakers, but with this, it gives you so much confidence to really just lean all the way into that ABS. You feel it triggering, but there's no need to panic. You've still got options. I can't get over how smooth those PDK shifts are. How smooth the whole car is. I mean, certainly in track it's much firmer, but even so, just all the inputs, the car feels so settled really, but so grippy. Almost tempted to drop back to the normal setting on the PASM, but I actually love that sense of connection.
It's so focused and capable that you can see why the super sticky Cup 2R is offered as a tyre option.
Right, let's turn some systems off, because even without doing any sort of big slides, you do just feel the car sort of free up a little bit when you loosen the ESC and TC.
Driving over the limit is, well, it's fun, and for all the G-forces and lap times, this car should be fun. Also, for me, a Porsche GT car's drivability over the limit has always been one of the hallmarks of its integrity of engineering and development. The sensation that when the tyres are slipping, they still seem to be gripping and giving you control. It's a remarkable feeling. And although this 992's desire to retain traction is greater than ever, so you have to be even more aggressive with the throttle in slides, it still retains that essential familiar quality.
You actually have to get quite big angles with it. You really have to break that traction because it just wants to keep driving forwards. It really hunts for grip. Listen to that engine. You just wouldn't get bored of that, would you? That was a fascinating couple of hours on track. I still feel like there's so much more really to learn about this car. I did go out on the road just for sort of half an hour or so, and that was, yeah, throw off even more questions, I suppose, because it's a busy car. You can feel that front suspension. You don't get necessarily, as you're driving along, that sort of granular feedback from the tyre straight away. You need to be leaning into it more to get that sort of feedback, but the steering is always doing something. That new front suspension, it really seems to find all the cambers and bumps, certainly on the roads around here, and it means it feels like a much busier car. It feels like a stiffer car too. It feels much more RS, which I suppose you sort of expect when you see all the aero on it, sort of both above, and then if you get down on your hands and knees and look underneath it as well. I think it will be probably a harder car to daily to some extent, because we've got used to GT3s being so usable, and this feels more aggressive. It feels like this is really its home.
And maybe that's how it should be. Or maybe the touring version will be backed off a little this time and made more road biased. It certainly feels like there is a lot more to unpack with this latest GT3, and hopefully soon we'll take it for a longer drive on a greater variety of tarmac so that we can nail down just what sort of road car this is. For now, what we can definitely say is that if you do track days,
this new one, I think you're going to want one.